Let's start right there.
Yeah.
We said it. I'm going to pepper you with questions. I have some conversations here about some guys. I know some stuff or, have a little feel on some of these guys. But just start base level there. Like, what's the narrative around the draft maybe right now, or a player or something, like one where you go, people are missing this, and then one where you're like, I don't know if I buy into this narrative quite yet.
So I think it's starting to catch up a little bit,
Right.
but for the longest time I couldn't figure out why people look at this gap from Marvin Harrison Jr., the colossal gap down to Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
And I love Marvin Harrison Jr. He's
sure.
been my number one player since the summer. He hasn't moved. Like, special, all of that, this and that. But
it does seem like other guys are getting talked about a lot more now.
100%. We're
Right.
starting to have that gap close a little bit. In any other wide receiver class, maybe besides the one Jamar Chase was in, Neighbors is the number one guy.
Right.
He's the number one guy. He
Right.
just happens to be in a draft with a historically great wide receiver prospect that he hasn't gotten that love. So I think that was
So
a
you
big
think
one.
that's closer than people? And how about like the kid from Washington, Romeo Dunze? Like, he's not quite in the class of those
I would put
two,
him in
is
a
what you're
different
saying?
tier.
Okay.
I put him in
All
a
right,
different
I
tier. And
got
he's
you.
really good.
Yeah.
But he's just not
Right.
The movement skills are not the same.
It doesn't seem like it to me. When I
Right.
see things about him, and I know we'll hit more on the wide receivers in a second because I want to ask more questions, but just basic thought there. I did you said I announced some games early in the year.
Yeah.
I did Washington. Odunze is very impressive.
100%.
But when I see him top 10 player in the draft, top 10 pick, I go, wait, I didn't see that.
Right.
I don't feel that. I feel like it's a guy who's polished, got good size, got good speed, but not wow,
Game
top
breaking.
5, top 8 kind of guy. That's what I've been surprised to see that, and I guess you feel the same way.
100%.
Okay,
I actually
all right.
have a group where, maybe you want to put Marvin in his own tier and then
Right.
Neighbors, but then Odunze with Brian Thomas Jr., the other LSU wide receiver,
Yeah.
I think he's a top 15 player in the draft.
Ooh.
And he doesn't get discussed because Malik was his teammate and he's
Right.
going out high. Jaden
What's his
Daniels,
name again? Say it
Brian
again.
Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr. Okay.
Yeah, just freakish, 6'4". He's
Right.
going to run probably low 4.3s.
Gotcha.
Jumps through the gym. I mean, in his state championship high school basketball game, he was the player of the game. So this is an athlete that looks different,
Right.
has that different. And as much as everybody loves Jaden Daniels, and I get it, they left a lot on the field for this guy with some hanging deep balls,
Yeah,
where
right.
his numbers should have been
Right.
even bigger.
Yep.
Another one, good transition right there, is I have Penix and Jaden Daniels in a tier together.
Yeah, right.
I don't see it. I have Caleb Williams and Drake May higher.
Right.
But then Penix and Daniels, to me, are tiered right together, where everybody has Daniels as the number 3 pick in the draft. And a lot of people are like, well, Penix is a day 2 guy.
Right.
And they're very different,
Yeah.
so you can't discuss them that way. But in terms of quarterback prospects, I think Penix is the best pocket passer in the draft.
Yeah.
I do. Now, it doesn't mean he has the highest ceiling. It doesn't
I
mean
hear
he's
you.
the best.
Right.
The guy you take top 5. The medicals are a big thing at the combine, although I
Right.
expect them to go better than people think. But I think he's the most complete pocket passer in the draft. And if you're comfortable with him medically, there is no reason why you shouldn't take him in the first round.
Yeah. All right. So when you see, all right, so here you go. Here's Connor Rogers' big board right here. Here's 11 through 20. You got Jaden Daniels at 20, Penix at 19 right above him. Those are your only quarterbacks there in that tier. And then I'm guessing you got the other 2 guys in the top 10.
Yeah,
right,
Caleb
in that
Williams,
area?
3rd overall.
Right.
Drake May, 6th
Okay,
overall.
all right, cool.
So they're up there, as you see right here.
You look at that, and okay, so now I'm going through here. You're seeing early. You're expecting 4 first-rounders, or do you think a Bo Nix sneaks in there?
Easily. Caleb Williams and Drake May
Right.
and Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy,
Okay,
they will
right,
go
sure,
in the first round.
right.
The question is, will they all go in the top 10?
Right.
And I'd put the odds higher that they do than
Wow.
they don't.
Wow.
And then the question is, can Bo Nix make it in?
Yeah.
Some people think he can. Can Penix make it in? That one's
I think it's going to be close.
It's going to be really close. I would not
Right.
call that
Right.
favorable
Yeah.
right now. And then I don't expect this to happen, but you'll hear buzz about Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
He'll probably
Right.
go round 3, maybe round 2,
Right.
but you'll hear the buzz.
Finished his college career on a strong note.
He did.
Definitely.
He matured a lot.
Right.
He's done a lot of things for himself. He's still a smaller quarterback with some turnover problems. But, I mean, the fact that we could even have the discussion, Chris, about 7 guys in the first round-ish conversation shows where the strength of this class is.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that to you is the key to the draft, right?
I think so because of there's 2 things. 1, so many teams need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
2, now everybody's trying to get one early because of the belief to try to sit a guy a little bit. So everybody's trying to be a year ahead. And then this is thinking way too far ahead, but this is the world I live in. People don't think next year's class holds a candle to this one.
Right.
They just don't.
So you think there's going to be a little desperation to make something happen this
Do
year?
it now because, think about if you're the Giants at 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel Jones has 1 more year guaranteed money.
Right.
You still haven't taken your guy if you're Joe Shane and Brian
Right.
Dable. The Giants should not be picking in the top 10 next year, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
This was a colossal disappointment this season.
Right.
If you think you're not going to be picking in the top 10 next year, and the quarterback class isn't nearly as good next year, you should have your scouts a year ahead.
Yeah.
Not all teams do, but they probably do. Then how does that make you feel this year? I mean, I would love the Giants to take a wide receiver or something more explosive for the offense, but they have to be thinking, man, maybe there's a part of us that if we don't do this now, what is our solution under center long term?
No, the Giants are one of the wild cards of the draft.
Completely.
I think for sure. And I don't. If you made me bet right now, I'd go. I don't think the Giants will take a quarterback.
Neither
that would
do
be my
I.
bet.
Yeah.
Again, I still think Daniel Jones is looked at favorably within that organization, and they think they can win. And I think part of what Daboll took the job, because I've heard some of those things too, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't have an inside info, but I do know going back to Daboll taking the Giants job, there was a love of Daniel Jones before that, right? He had evaluated Daniel Jones coming out of Duke and thought the world of him already. So, I think he's in bed with him. Now, of course, last year wasn't smooth. Things didn't go smooth, but I think Brian Daboll could probably point at himself for that a little bit as well. So we're sitting here looking at NFL draft order right now. All right, we're looking at teams that need quarterbacks. I mean, we hit the Giants, right? We got Atlanta, the Commanders, the Bears,
New England,
right?
Then 11 through 13 is what everyone has their eye on right now. Because I don't think the Bears and the Commanders pick up the phone. I think they just sit there. Caleb Williams and Drake May go off the board.
Right.
I don't even think it's interesting at this point. And maybe I'll be wrong after the combine. New England's fascinating. Nobody knows what they're going to do at 3.
I'm not sold on your Drake May definitely being 2. Yeah.
That's true too, and that could be
right?
Jaden Daniels.
Right. To
100%.
Me, on my first look.
Yep.
Right. And again, Connor, I'm not trying to put your rankings down. I'm just having a conversation.
You've known me long enough that none of that matters here.
Because I look at Drake May and I see some things and go, wow, right? I see some too that, like I told you, I was watching a little yesterday where I go, I wish he was a hair more athletic.
Yep.
I wish his arm, he misses a few throws that I wish he wouldn't miss at times.
Which are hard to explain.
And they're hard to explain for a guy that's
biggest
kind
hang-up
of
for
has
me.
good mechanics
100%.
and things, and you're like, wait.
Sees the middle of the field well,
It
just
really
doesn't
does.
make the throw sometimes.
Right,
It's very strange.
And Jaden's kind of a unicornish, right, in the fact of how he's built, how he runs, right? He does really control the ball well. Now, it's not a wow, oh my gosh, he throws lasers all over the field, right? And it doesn't, not the greatest spirals in the world either. But then again, I've seen guys like that fix those things, and I've seen guys fix the things Drake May has. That's going to be interesting to me.
It's the hard part of all this. I think Jaden has the weakest arm of the top 6 quarterbacks.
Right.
But I think there's so many other things that he does better than all of them.
Yeah, right.
Like I love the release.
Yep.
I love the touch throwing.
Yep.
And his ability, not as a scrambler, as a runner with the football.
It is special.
It's special.
It
It's far and away the best.
Yeah.
And it's translatable. It's not a college runner. It's an NFL runner.
I would agree.
As long as he doesn't get himself
Daniels
killed.
is going to be able to run around the corner and run for 60-yard gains in the
100%.
NFL. He will be able to do that.
100%.
Caleb Williams, on the other hand, is the best scrambler of the group, but maybe not going to make those type of runs and all that.
It's like how Russ runs.
So
Caleb, a little bit, where it's like not nowadays, but old Russ.
I hear you. I mean, there's some thickness and some real power to it. When do you get a feel? It seems to me that Caleb Williams is like in a class of his own.
It's viewed that way.
I think so.
A lot of people want to get in front of him in Indy and just ask what went wrong this year.
Right.
Because the bar was set too high.
Yeah,
He won the Heisman 2 years ago. He was supposed to be unstoppable this year. That defense on USC literally could not stop a Pee Wee team.
Could not stop anything.
Yeah.
The offense stinks too.
I'm
not a fan of that offense.
Not
it's
at
basic.
all.
I mean, way to go, Commanders. You got Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get that offense. I don't. I'm not a fan of it.
It's tough to watch.
It is.
Honestly.
But I have the sense that you do, right? Like I said, just early watching, just because I wanted to watch some guys and get a feel for it. I don't know. I think everybody's playing for second in the quarterback conversation.
I would agree.
That would just be my early look. I don't think this is going anywhere. I think Caleb Williams is clearly the number 1 pick. Again, I'm going to reserve judgment a little because I haven't dove in all the way here yet. But, man, after first look, it's hard not to go, whoa, this guy's arm's on a different level. All the releases are on a different level. The side-to-side movement and quicks that way are on a different level. He got lost a little last year.
Yeah.
pressure, expectations, right? He probably too much trying to put things on his shoulders, win the game
100%.
that way. It caused him some bad habits and some stupid decisions, right? And you might have to deal with that a little bit in his college, early on in his NFL career. But man, I don't know. The talent as a pure thrower, I'm always a sucker for that, right? That, to me, it stands out compared to the rest of the group.
It's absolutely effortless,
Yeah,
the throwing.
it is.
And when you go back and watch 2022, he was as good as I've seen against pressure for a college quarterback.
Right.
As good as I've seen. It tailed off this year because I think he went out there thinking, I have to score 70 points or we're going to lose.
Right.
And I think, and this is a good question for you, as a quarterback, doesn't that completely change your mindset pregame going, well, we're going to give up 50 today, so I'm going to have to do some things that I wouldn't do in a better situation?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think that's where, I feel like as we watch film and go through that, you're going to have to keep that in mind a little bit. That this is a guy that's so super talented that he thinks, hey, I can keep us in it no matter what here. And, yeah, he lost his way a little bit there. And then, of course, I don't think they helped him a whole lot either. And, managing football games, they put him in a ton of situations where it was kind of like, hey, save the day.
100%.
Keep trying to save the – oh, you threw an interception? Yeah, it's bad for you. But you got to go out there and, push the envelope more because we have no chance to win the football game. All right, so we get to the quarterbacks there. All right. Any other teams you look at there that are a key to the top 10, top 12 that really pop out to you to go, ooh, wow, I'm interested to what they do or how they handle this whole situation?
So 11 through 13, the Vikings, Broncos, and Raiders, I think everybody is wondering which of them will be the most aggressive to come up for a quarterback and if they have to. Because they're all kind of pinned against each other, right? The Vikings, we need to see what happens with Kirk Cousins in free agency, although I don't think that completely takes quarterback off the table for them, even if he came back. The Broncos, Sean Payton absolutely wants one.
Yeah.
It's been the worst-kept secret for months. And the same with the Raiders. You got to think with Antonio Pierce, and he probably won't have this opportunity, but Antonio Pierce coached Jaden Daniels in high school, recruited him to Arizona State.
Right.
He's clearly a big fan of Jaden Daniels, the player. How high can the Raiders go is the question. Will New England answer the phone at 3? Can control what this draft looks like?
This is the problem with the Raiders, yeah.
Yes, they might just be too far out. They might be too far out.
This is why I was one to argue last year. They should have made a move to quarterback last year. Last year was the move. It was the time to do it. And they sat there at, what was that, 7, right? And left themselves in no man's land. I guess they didn't like Will Levis and didn't feel good about that. So, here they are stuck in a situation now that's worse than last year. And you're right. I don't know what they do there. So that's the little range you're looking at right now. Do you go, that's really interesting, and those guys got to make some plays. The Vikings thing, I do think if they sign Kirk Cousins, it'll be probably a 2 or 3 year deal,
so
and they won't look at QB. Right? They'll let it ride out, right?
You're trying to win in that scenario.
They're going to try to win with him, make him feel comfortable. One last hurrah, O'Connell and Kirk Cousins. But I'm with you there, I think, with the Broncos and Raiders, certainly. Definitely. And, hey, I don't even, the Saints are another team, future quarterback, whatever. I don't think it at 14, but they got to have that on their radar for sure.
They do. They've restructured Carr.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like you said, Chris, do you look at a day 2 guy that knows he's going to sit?
Yeah.
Because at 14, it feels like that guy comes knocking on the door early. And Carr's money, it feels like he's there for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it does feel like he's there for the next 2 years. I guess this is where we start to get into the range, and do we get on some sort of run here?
Right.
And where, okay, now does a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix come out here? That's what I'm going to be interested as I dive into this a little bit more and start to get a feel for this. Are they worthy of those type of picks there?
Right.
In that area.
And with situations like that, you've been in these rooms, when the coaches get involved in scouting, which is typically now, is when things can change.
Definitely.
Where not everybody knows everything right now.
No.
All it takes is one offensive coordinator that goes, we're going to win with Bo Nix.
Right.
I don't care if we take him at 13 or whatever it is. We're going to win with Bo Nix. If that coach is out there, then Bo Nix is going to go early.
Yeah, no. We're getting – I don't even think the coaches are in there yet. I don't even think the coaches are at the draft stuff. They're still
not
in
even going to
free
the
agent
combine
mode
anymore.
right now. Exactly right. So you're right. That'll come out as the time goes on a little bit. And that's no down talk to scouting or whatever else.
Right.
Scouts get the base premises there. And then the coaches, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, they start to sort through the weeds and go, ooh, I like he does this. I don't like that he does that. And it becomes more of a collaborative effort here in the next few weeks as an organization to start to go, wait, I know we had this grade on him, but the quarterback coach and the OC see this, and now we're going to bump that grade up, and that's where, he's hot, he's a riser, whatever else, blah, blah, blah. Yo, homies, what's up? I know it's the offseason, but it's never the offseason on Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Me and Ahmed Fareed are going to be here for it all. We got free agency. We're going to break it all down. The draft, the rankings of positions. Of course, we're going to unpack it all. Hit subscribe, get to my free agency reactions, 2024 draft rankings, and more. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.